In 49 seconds, 6 armed men will enter this warehouse in Seoul. In 48 seconds, they'll realize they're not alone. The woman waiting for them in the darkness doesn't exist in any official database. No passport, no ID, no photographs. Interpol has a file on her, but the picture is blank. The CIA knows her name, but not her face. In the criminal underworld, they call her the Serengeti Ghost. And tonight, she's about to ruin a $40 million deal. High above the warehouse floor, Nadira Solange crouches on a steel beam, her body pressed against the shadows. The green glow of her night vision goggles reveals rows of wooden crates below, each one containing a piece of stolen history. African masks from the 14th century, bronze sculptures taken during colonial raids, ancient scrolls that should be in museums in Lagos, not shipping containers in South Korea. Her heartbeat is steady at 58 beats per minute. After 3 years of doing this, fear stopped being useful. Through her earpiece comes a whisper. Ghost, movement confirmed. 2 vehicles approaching from the east, ETA 30 seconds. Nadira taps her earpiece twice. Acknowledgement without words. Below, her team of 6 moves into position around the warehouse perimeter. Jabari, her second in command, takes the north entrance. Kofi watches the south. 4 others spread out like pieces on a chessboard. They've done this dance in 23 countries. Tonight is number 24. Headlights sweep across the warehouse walls, doors slam, footsteps crunch on gravel. The smugglers enter through the main door, their flashlight beams cutting through the darkness like knives through silk. Nadira counts them. 6 men, 4 armed with pistols, 2 carrying automatic weapons. Standard security for a shipment this valuable. The lead smuggler, a Korean man in his 40s with a scar across his left cheek, approaches the crates. He speaks in Korean. The broker confirmed the buyer will arrive at midnight. Everything needs to be verified before then. His partner, younger with nervous hands, glances around the warehouse. Do you think it's true? What they're saying about someone intercepting shipments? The scarred man laughs, but there's no humor in it. Ghost stories. The kind dealers tell to explain why they're losing merchandise. There's no one. Nadira allows herself the smallest smile. She's heard this before. From smugglers in Cairo, from dealers in Paris, from brokers in Mumbai. They never believe she exists until they're already caught. By then, belief doesn't matter, but something changes. Through her night vision, she sees new headlights approaching. This wasn't in the intelligence report. A third vehicle, expensive from the sound of the engine, German engineering, luxury grade, the kind of car that costs more than most people earn in 5 years. Jabari's voice crackles through her earpiece. Ghost, we have unexpected company. Third vehicle, running the plates now. A pause, then his voice returns with an edge of surprise. It's Rion. Nadira's jaw tightens. Rion, she knows the name. Everyone in East Asian business knows the name. 28 years old, net worth estimated at $3.2 billion. He built a tech company that revolutionized logistics and shipping across Asia. His containers move through 47 ports. His trucks cross 12 countries. And according to every background check Nadira's run, he's completely clean. No criminal ties, no suspicious transactions. Just a young billionaire who happened to be good at moving things from point A to point B. So what is he doing at a smuggling deal at midnight? The luxury car door opens. A man steps out, and even from this distance, Nadira can see the expensive cut of his coat, the precise way he moves. Rion walks toward the warehouse entrance like he owns it. Maybe, in some legal sense, he does. This warehouse is probably registered to one of his subsidiaries. But that doesn't explain why he's here now, when stolen artifacts are about to change hands. The smugglers tense when he enters. The scarred man's hand moves toward his weapon, then stops. There's recognition in his face. and fear. Rion strides past the crates, his eyes scanning them, then locks his gaze on the lead smuggler. When he speaks, his voice is cold, controlled fury wrapped in silk. "You've been using my shipping containers, my routes, my company's name. For what, exactly?" The scarred man recovers quickly. Too quickly. His hand moves to his weapon again, this time completing the motion. The gun rises, pointing at Rion's chest. "You should have stayed in your boardroom, pretty boy. Some things are better left unknown." Nadira doesn't think. Thinking takes time, and time means a bullet in a man's chest, billionaire or not. She moves, her body dropping from the beam like a stone wrapped in shadow. The world blurs. 15 feet of empty air, then impact. She hits the ground in a controlled roll, rising behind the smuggler with the gun. Her hand strikes twice, once to disarm, once to disable. The weapon clatters across concrete. The man drops, unconscious before he understands what happened. For a moment, there's perfect silence. Lee Rion stares at her, his eyes wide. The other smugglers freeze, trying to understand how a woman appeared from nowhere. Then chaos detonates. Nadira taps her earpiece 3 times, the signal for full breach. Smoke grenades crash through windows, spewing grey fog that swallows the warehouse in seconds. Her team floods in from every entrance, moving like water through cracks. Gunfire erupts, but Nadira's people don't shoot to kill. They shoot to stop. Bullets hit shoulders, thighs, anything that drops a target without ending a life. Through the smoke, Nadira moves by memory and training. A smuggler lunges at her with a knife. She sidesteps, redirects his momentum, sends him face first into a crate. Another raises his gun. Kofi appears from the fog and disarms him with brutal efficiency. 15 seconds. That's all it takes. 15 seconds and 6 smugglers are on the ground, groaning but alive. The smoke begins to clear. Nadira's team secures the crates, checking contents, photographing serial numbers. Jabari kneels beside an unconscious smuggler, zip-tying his hands. Everything is routine. Except for the man standing in the center of the warehouse, untouched by violence, staring at Nadira like she's a puzzle he can't solve. Lee Rion's breathing is controlled, but she can see his pulse jumping in his neck. Adrenaline. He's never been in a firefight before, never seen violence up close, but he's not running. He's studying her, memorizing details, her height, her build, the way she moves, and most dangerous of all, her face. Nadira makes a decision. She crosses the warehouse floor until she's standing 5 feet from him. Up close, she can see intelligence in his eyes, determination, and something else. Curiosity that borders on obsession. She knows that look. It's the look of someone who won't let this go. She speaks once, her voice low and carrying the weight of absolute certainty. "Forget you saw me, or you'll wish you had." Then she turns, signals her team, and vanishes into the Seoul night. Behind her, Lee Rion stands alone among unconscious smugglers and $12 million in recovered artifacts. But Nadira knows, with the cold certainty of experience, that this isn't over. You don't look at someone the way he looked at her and then simply forget. 20 minutes later, in a safe house on the other side of Seoul, Nadira removes her tactical gear. The space is sparse. A couch, a table, walls covered in maps, red strings connecting cities across 4 continents. Seoul to Nairobi, Cairo to Paris, Lagos to Mumbai. Each connection represents a smuggling route. Each pin represents a recovered artifact or an active target. Kofi enters, carrying a medical kit. He's got a cut above his eyebrow, nothing serious. Clean operation, 12 crates recovered. Contents verified, all 14th and 15th century pieces from the Benin raids. Estimated value, 42 million. Nadira nods, pulling a sweatshirt over her head. Buyers. scattered when the shooting started. We tracked 3 to a hotel in Gangnam. Jabari's team is monitoring. The smugglers. Seoul police will find them in about an hour. Anonymous tip already placed. They'll find the crates too. Kofi sets down the medical kit. Ghost, we need to talk about Lee Rion. I know. He saw your face. Up close. He has resources we can't match. If he decides to look for you, let him look. Nadira crosses to the wall of maps, her fingers tracing a red line from Seoul to Tokyo. He won't find what doesn't exist. But Kofi doesn't leave. He's been with her since the beginning, since she left Interpol and built this off-book network. He knows her better than anyone. He's not like the others. The dealers, the smugglers, they live in shadows. They're used to ghosts. Rion is legitimate. He'll use legitimate channels. Facial recognition, security footage, government contacts. Nadira turns to face him. Then we do what we always do. We move, we adapt, we disappear. Or, Kofi says carefully, we find out why a clean billionaire showed up at a dirty deal. He's right, and Nadira hates that he's right. Lee Rion's presence changes everything. If he's involved in the smuggling network, he's the biggest target she's ever gone after. If he's not involved, then someone inside his organization is using his company as cover. Either way, he's now part of this, whether she wants him to be or not. I'll look into it, she says finally. Kofi nods and leaves. Alone, Nadira pulls up her laptop, opens an encrypted browser, and begins digging into Lee Rion's life. What she finds makes her pause. His company, Rion Logistics, handles shipments for 200 major corporations. Everything from electronics to luxury goods to art. Legitimate art from legitimate sellers with legitimate documentation. His personal life is equally clean. No scandals, no hidden accounts, no mysterious gaps in his history. But someone is using his shipping routes. Someone with access to his manifests, his containers, his trusted channels. Someone close enough to exploit his infrastructure without triggering security protocols. That kind of access doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. Nadira leans back, staring at Lee Rion's photo on her screen. Sharp features, intelligent eyes, the look of someone who built an empire before age 30. She wonders if he knows, if he's suspected, if tonight was him investigating rumors, or if he stumbled into something he wasn't prepared for. Either way, he's now seen her face, and that makes him a threat she can't ignore. Across the city, in a penthouse office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, Lee Rion sits at his desk surrounded by computer screens. His coat is draped over a chair. His tie is loosened. He's been here for 3 hours, ever since returning from the warehouse, and he hasn't slept, can't sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees her, the woman from the warehouse, the one who appeared from nowhere, the one who moved like violence choreographed by physics itself. She dropped 15 feet and landed like gravity was optional. She disarmed 3 men in the time it took his heart to beat twice. And her eyes, dark, calm, utterly certain. Rion has built his company by reading people, understanding them, predicting them. But this woman, whoever she is, doesn't fit any pattern he knows. She's not law enforcement. Police don't vanish after interventions. She's not military. Soldiers follow orders, work in chains of command. She operated like she answered to no one. His computer screen shows security footage from the warehouse, but it's useless. The cameras captured smoke and shadows, nothing clear enough for identification. He's tried facial recognition on the 3 seconds of clarity he managed to isolate, but the software returns 0 matches. No passport photos, no driver's licenses, no social media profiles. It's as if she doesn't exist in the digital world, which means she's worked very hard to make sure she doesn't. His phone rings. The caller ID shows his head of security, a former National Intelligence Service agent named Park Min-jun. Rion answers. Tell me you found something. Park's voice is frustrated. Nothing concrete, but I asked around, called some old contacts in intelligence. One name kept coming up, the Serengeti Ghost. Rion sits forward. Explain. It's a legend in certain circles. Someone who's been intercepting smuggling operations for about 3 years, always cultural artifacts, always African pieces. Dozens of successful recoveries across multiple continents, but no one's ever identified who's behind it. Some think it's an organized group, others think it's just a myth dealers invented to cover up their own incompetence. It's not a myth, Rion says quietly. I saw her. Park is silent for a moment. Her, the woman from the warehouse. That's who she is. The Serengeti Ghost. If that's true, then you're involved in something much bigger than I thought. The Serengeti Ghost doesn't just hit random shipments. She targets major smuggling networks, which means someone in my company is running one. Rion finishes the sentence, his voice cold. Someone used my containers, my routes, my infrastructure to move stolen goods. And they did it under my name. We need to find out who. Quietly. No. Rion stands, moving to the window. The city spreads below him, millions of lights in the darkness. Somewhere down there, the woman with no name is planning her next move. We need to find her. If someone in my organization is involved in smuggling, she'll know who. She's been tracking these networks. She has intelligence, I don't. Rion, tracking down a ghost is... I don't care how hard it is. Find her. Use every resource we have. I want to know who she is, where she operates, and how to contact her. Park sighs. I'll do what I can. But if she's as good as the stories say, she won't want to be found. Then I'll make her want to talk to me. Rion ends the call and returns to his desk. He pulls up his company's shipping manifests for the last 6 months, searching for anomalies. Containers that went to unexpected ports, shipments with documentation irregularities. Anything that might indicate someone is using his infrastructure for illegal purposes. It takes 4 hours, but he finds it. A pattern buried in thousands of legitimate transactions. Containers scheduled for Seoul, but diverted to secondary ports. Manifests that show electronics, but with weight discrepancies. Payment trails that dead-end in shell companies. 17 shipments over 5 months. Someone in his organization has been very, very careful. But not careful enough. Rion compiles the data, cross-references it with his employee access logs, and narrows down the suspects. 3 people had the necessary access and authority. His head of logistics, his operations manager in Busan, and his customs liaison in Tokyo. One of them is a traitor. One of them has been using his company to move stolen goods. He leans back, rubbing his eyes. His empire, the thing he built from nothing, is being weaponized by someone he trusted. The rage that fills him is cold and calculating. Whoever is responsible will pay. But first, he needs answers. Real answers. The kind that only come from people who operate in shadows. He needs the Serengeti Ghost. 3 days pass. Nadira's network tracks the smugglers from the Seoul warehouse to a buyer in Busan, a coastal city 325 kilometers south. The buyer is a collector, someone who doesn't care about provenance or legality, only acquisition. He's scheduled to take delivery of a new shipment, artifacts from the Swahili coast. 17th century. Priceless. Nadira and Jabari travel to Busan under false identities. Dutch import consultants, according to their fabricated documentation. They rent a car and drive to the industrial port where the exchange is supposed to happen. But when they arrive, something is wrong. Lee Rion is already there. He's standing beside a shipping container, hands in his pockets, looking for all the world like he belongs. Nadira parks the car 200 meters away and observes through binoculars. Rion isn't alone. He's with another man, older, military-bearing. Security, probably. They're examining the container, checking the manifest number against a tablet. Jabari mutters a curse in Swahili. How did he find this location? He owns the port, Nadira says quietly, pieces clicking into place. Or his company does. He's tracking shipments through his own infrastructure. So he knows about the smuggling. He suspects. Nadira lowers the binoculars. But he doesn't know who. That's why he's here. He's investigating. What do we do? Nadira makes a decision she knows she'll regret. We talk to him. She exits the car before Jabari can argue. Her hand rests near the concealed weapon at her hip, but she doesn't draw it. Rion sees her approaching when she's 50 meters away. His body language shifts. Alert, ready. The security guard reaches for his weapon, but Rion raises a hand, stopping him. He's waiting. Nadira stops 20 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to run if needed. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Rion breaks the silence. I've been looking for you. I know. Nadira's voice is calm. You've been asking questions, running searches, using facial recognition software that won't work because I don't exist in any database you can access. The Serengeti Ghost. He says it without question, as fact. That's what they call you. Among other things. Why artifacts? Why African cultural pieces specifically? It's not the question she expected. Most people, when they finally meet her, want to know who she is, where she's from, how she does what she does. But Rion wants to know why. It's a better question, more dangerous. Because they were stolen, she says simply. During colonial occupations, during wars, during chaos that powerful nations created and then exploited. Museums and private collectors call it preservation. I call it theft. I'm simply returning stolen property. Rion studies her. You're not law enforcement. No. Military? Not anymore. Then who do you work for? Myself. Nadira takes a step closer. Why are you here, Mr. Rion? This isn't a place for billionaires. His jaw tightens. Someone in my company is using my shipping lanes to move stolen goods, my containers, my routes, my reputation. I built this company from nothing, and someone is turning it into a criminal enterprise without my knowledge. There's real anger in his voice. Real pain. Nadira recognizes it because she knows what it feels like to have something you built corrupted. You're here to find out who. I'm here to stop it. He pulls out his tablet, turns it to show her. 17 shipments over 5 months, all diverted from their stated destinations, all with documentation irregularities. The pattern points to 3 suspects inside my organization. Nadira looks at the data. It's good. Thorough. More detailed than what her network uncovered. You have access to information I don't. And you have intelligence on the smuggling networks I can't reach. Rion meets her eyes. We want the same thing, to stop this, to return what was stolen. We should work together. Every instinct Nadira has screams warning. She's worked alone or with her hand-picked team for 3 years. No outside involvement, no wildcards, no one she can't control. Bringing in a civilian, especially one this visible, breaks every protocol she's established. But he has resources she doesn't. Access she can't replicate, and most critically, he's already in this. His company is the pipeline. Whether she wants him involved or not, he already is. I don't work with amateurs, she says finally. I'm not offering to be in the field. I'm offering information, intelligence, corporate access. I can track shipments in real time, identify routing changes, flag suspicious documentation. You can do what you do best. Intercept and recover. It makes sense. Nadira hates that it makes sense. What's in it for you? My company's integrity and... He hesitates, then continues. My father built the foundation of Rion Logistics. He died believing he'd created something good, something that connected people and helped commerce flow cleanly. If I let his legacy become a tool for criminals, everything he worked for means nothing. Family, legacy, honor. Nadira understands these motivations better than she'd like to admit. She thinks of her grandmother, the sculpture in the London Museum, the tears of an old woman who would never see her heritage returned. Different circumstances, same core wound, something stolen, something that can't be easily recovered. One condition, Nadira says. You stay out of the field. You don't come to operations. You don't try to be a hero. You provide intelligence. I act on it. That's the arrangement. Rion smiles slightly. Agreed. And if I find out you're involved in this, even peripherally, I'll make sure every law enforcement agency on 3 continents knows about it. The smile fades. I'm not involved, but I understand the threat. Nadira nods and pulls out a phone. Not her personal device, a burner, used once then destroyed. She hands it to him. You'll receive a number within 24 hours, encrypted communication only. When you have intelligence worth sharing, use that channel. She turns to leave, then pauses. Mr. Rion, the people running these networks, they're not white-collar criminals. They're dangerous, the kind who kill to protect profits. If they realize you're investigating, they'll come for you. If you're not prepared for that level of threat, walk away now. I'm not walking away. Nadira looks at him, really looks at him, sees the determination, the anger, the stubborn refusal to be intimidated. It reminds her of herself years ago when she decided to leave official channels and build something better, something effective. She wonders if he understands what he's committing to, the violence, the moral compromises, the way this work changes you, molecule by molecule, until you can't remember who you were before. Then welcome to the shadows, Mr. Rion. They're darker than you think. Over the next 2 weeks, an unlikely partnership forms. Rion feeds Nadira intelligence, shipping routes, container numbers, payment trails. She acts on it, intercepting 3 shipments in Tokyo, Singapore, and Bangkok. Each recovery is clean. No casualties, no international incidents, just stolen artifacts suddenly appearing in the hands of proper authorities, often with detailed provenance documentation that makes repatriation simple. They communicate through encrypted channels, brief messages, tactical information, nothing personal. But Nadira begins to see patterns in Rion's intelligence that suggest he's not just tracking shipments, he's building a profile of the entire network, identifying not just the routes, but the people, the brokers, the buyers, the facilitators. Then he sends her a message that changes everything. Found the inside source. My operations manager in Busan. Name, David Chung. 15 years with the company. Access to all routing protocols. But he's not the top. He's taking orders from someone called Kaito Ren. Ever heard that name? Nadira has heard the name. Every person who works in artifact recovery has heard the name. Kaito Ren is a myth made flesh, a broker who operates across Asia, moving everything from stolen art to illegal antiquities to black market weapons. No verified photographs, no confirmed sightings, just a name that appears in intelligence reports and intercepted communications. If David Chung is working for Kaito Ren, then Rion's company isn't just being exploited. It's been infiltrated by one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in Asia. She responds, Ren is major threat. Don't approach Chung. Don't alert him. We need to track him to Ren. Rion's reply comes quickly. Understood, but there's more. Chung has a meeting scheduled. 3 days from now. Busan Port, Container Yard 7. The manifest shows it as routine cargo inspection, but the timing matches pattern of previous smuggling operations. Nadira makes a decision. I'll be there. Don't do anything until I arrive. But 3 days is a long time, and in the world of smuggling, everything can change in hours. Nadira assembles her team. Jabari, Kofi, and 4 others she's worked with across multiple operations. They converge on Busan from different cities, different identities, different entry points. No patterns, no traces. The night before the scheduled meeting, Nadira does what she always does. She scouts the location. Container Yard 7 is a maze of steel boxes stacked 6 high, creating artificial valleys and dead ends. Good for ambushes, bad for escape routes. She maps 3 extraction points, identifies camera positions, notes security patrol patterns. At 2 a.m. her phone buzzes. Rion. We have a problem. Chung moved the meeting. It's happening now. Same location. Nadira's blood goes cold. She's alone. Her team is scattered across Busan, not yet in position. This isn't an operation. This is a trap. You need to leave the area. Now. I'm already here. I got the alert from our security system. Chung accessed a container that should be empty. I came to see what he was moving. Rion, get out. If Ren is there. Wait, there's someone else. 3 vehicles just arrived. Armed men. Rion, this is serious. The message cuts off. Nadira is already running. She signals her team through her encrypted network, gives them the location code, but she knows they won't arrive in time. She's 12 minutes away. 12 minutes. A lifetime in a firefight. She pushes harder, her legs burning, her lungs screaming, but she doesn't slow down. Can't slow down. She reaches Container Yard 7 in 9 minutes, breathing hard but controlled. She hears voices. Male. Multiple speakers, Korean and English mixed. She moves through the shadows between containers, silent and invisible, until she can see the scene unfolding. Lee Rion stands in a cleared space between containers, surrounded by 8 armed men. David Chung is there, looking nervous. And in the center, sitting on a closed container like it's a throne, is a man Nadira assumes must be Kaito Ren. Asian features, indeterminate age, expensive clothes that somehow look casual. He's smiling. Mr. Rion, Kaito Ren says in perfect English. I'm disappointed. I chose your company specifically because you seemed like the type to never ask questions. Too focused on growth, on expansion, on being the youngest this and the richest that. But you surprised me. You started investigating. Rion's hands are zip-tied behind his back, but his voice is steady. You're using my company to move stolen goods. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I thought you'd notice and ignore it. Most men in your position would. A few containers diverted here and there, some paperwork irregularities, nothing that truly impacts the bottom line. But you, Ren stands, circling Rion like a predator. You have principles. How quaint. What are you going to do? Kill me? I'm not exactly invisible. People will ask questions. Ren laughs. Oh, I'm not going to kill you. That would be messy. No, I'm going to give you a choice. You continue to look the other way, pretend you never investigated, and your company continues to thrive. I'll even increase my payments to your operations manager. Everyone wins. And if I refuse, then I'll dismantle everything you've built. Corporate espionage, leaked documents showing your company knowingly transported illegal goods. By the time the lawsuits and criminal investigations are finished, Rion Logistics will be bankrupt and you'll be in prison. Ren stops circling, stands directly in front of Rion. Choose. Nadira has heard enough. She taps her earpiece once. Jabari responds immediately. Ghost, we're 8 minutes out. Too long. She considers waiting, but Ren's body language is changing, losing patience. If Rion refuses, and she thinks he will, this situation escalates from threat to violence. She has to act. Now. alone. She counts the threats. 8 armed men, unknown skill level, likely mercenaries given their equipment and bearing. Kaito Ren, potentially armed. David Chung, probably not a fighter. 10 targets. She's faced worse odds, but never by choice. This is tactically stupid. Every instructor she ever had would call this suicide. But Lee Rion is zip-tied and surrounded because he tried to help her. Because he wanted to stop smuggling networks that were stealing from her people. She got him into this. She has to get him out. Nadira takes a breath, centers herself, and moves. The first guard never sees her coming. She strikes from behind, a precise blow to the nerve cluster in his neck. He drops. She catches his weapon before it falls, shoots the second guard in the thigh. Non-lethal but incapacitating. The third guard turns, raises his weapon. She's faster. Her bullet takes him in the shoulder. He spins, drops. Chaos erupts. The remaining guards scatter, seeking cover. Kaito Ren dives behind a container. David Chung runs. Nadira uses the confusion to reach Rion, cutting his zip ties with a knife from her belt. Can you run? Yes. Then run, north. 3 containers down. There's a gap in the fence. Go. But Rion doesn't run. He grabs the fallen guard's weapon, checks the magazine. I'm not leaving you. Here alone. I don't need your help. Too bad. There's no time to argue. Bullets spark off metal around them. Nadira returns fire, calculated shots that force the guards into defensive positions. Rion shoots too, his aim surprisingly good for someone who claimed to be a CEO, not a soldier. They move together, covering each other, advancing toward the extraction point. But Kaito Ren isn't running. He's coordinating his men, flanking positions designed to trap Nadira and Rion in a kill zone. She sees it developing, counters by creating chaos. A stray bullet punctures a container. Chemical smell, industrial solvent, flammable. She shoots again, spark meets vapor, and fire blooms. The explosion isn't large, but it's enough. Guards dive for cover. Smoke billows. In the confusion, Nadira and Rion run. Behind them, she hears Kaito Ren shouting orders, but his voice is fading. They reach the fence, slip through the gap, and keep running. 4 blocks away, Nadira finally stops. They're in an alley, both breathing hard. Rion leans against a wall, checking himself for injuries. He's got a cut on his forehead, blood trickling down, but nothing serious. He looks at Nadira, and despite everything, he's smiling. That was insane. That was necessary. Nadira's checking her own wounds. Bruised ribs where she took a fall, scraped palms. Minor. You should have run when I told you to. If I had, you'd be dead. There were too many of them. He's probably right, but Nadira won't admit it. She pulls out her phone, contacts Jabari. Abort approach to Container Yard 7, operation compromised. Kaito Ren was on site. He's likely retreating now. Focus on securing the area's security footage. Ghost, are you all right? I'm fine. I have Rion with me. We're clear. She ends the call and turns to Rion. We need to move. Ren knows you were investigating. He'll come after you. Your home, your office, anywhere he can find you isn't safe. I have security. Your security won't stop him. He has resources, connections, and now he has motivation. You humiliated him tonight. Men like Ren don't forget that. Rion processes this. So what do I do? You disappear. For a while, until I can dismantle his network and make you irrelevant as a target. How long is a while? Weeks, maybe months. I can't just vanish. I have a company to run, employees who depend on me, contracts and obligations. Nadira steps closer, her voice hard. You have a choice, Mr. Rion. You can go back to your life and wait for Kaito Ren to destroy it, or you can trust me to keep you alive while I end this. Choose. The fire has spread now. In the distance, sirens wail. Rion looks at the city, His city, the empire he built. Then he looks at Nadira. I choose to stay alive. Smart. Come on. She leads him through back alleys and side streets, a route she memorized days ago. They reach a safe house in a residential neighborhood. Nothing fancy. An apartment that could belong to anyone. Jabari is already there, along with Kofi. They look at Rion, then at Nadira, questions in their eyes. He's with us, Nadira says. For now. Over the next 3 days, Rion learns what it means to be invisible. No phone calls, no internet, no contact with his company or his life. Over the next 3 days, Rion learns what it means to be invisible. No phone calls, no internet, no contact with his company or his life. Jabari handles communication with Rion's executive team through a series of proxies. As far as the world knows, Lee Rion is on a private retreat, considering his next moves, unavailable for comment. But in the safe house, Rion is anything but relaxed. He's studying maps, learning the smuggling routes Nadira has tracked, understanding the network that's been exploiting his company, and slowly, painfully, accepting that his trusted operations manager betrayed him for money. David Chung worked for me for 15 years, Rion says on the 3rd evening. He's sitting at the table, papers spread before him. I promoted him, trusted him. He was at my father's funeral. Nadira looks up from her laptop. She's been tracking Kaito Ren's digital footprint, what little exists. People betray for many reasons. Money is the most common. It's not just the money. It's the trust. He looked me in the eye every day and lied. That's what makes him good at it. Nadira closes her laptop. You're taking this personally. That's a mistake. In this work, everyone is a potential threat until proven otherwise. That's a lonely way to live. It's a safe way to live. Rion studies her. Is that why you work alone? Why you built this network but keep everyone at arm's length? Nadira doesn't answer immediately. It's a fair question, one she's asked herself in the dark hours when sleep won't come. I work alone because trust gets people killed. I've seen it. Good agents, good soldiers, compromised because they trusted the wrong person. I won't let that happen to my team. But you trust Jabari and Kofi and the others. I trust their competence, their skills. That's different from trusting them with my life. You trusted them with mine. 3 days ago, when you called them to abort, you were counting on them to follow orders instead of rushing in. That's trust. He's right, and Nadira resents him for being right. She spent 3 years building walls, and this billionaire who's been in her world for less than a month is already finding cracks. You should get some sleep. Tomorrow we move locations. Running again? Staying unpredictable. But before Rion can respond, Nadira's laptop chimes, an alert from one of her monitoring programs. She opens it, reads the message, and her expression hardens. We have a problem. Jabari and Kofi enter from the other room, responding to her tone. What is it? Jabari asks. Nadira turns her laptop so they can see. On the screen is a news article, just published. Explosion at Rion Logistics headquarters in Seoul. 2 casualties, fire contained but significant damage. Authorities investigating possible gas leak. Rion moves to see the screen, his face draining of color. Gas leak. There's no gas in that building. It's all electric. It's a message, Nadira says quietly. From Kaito Ren. He's telling you he can reach you anywhere. Rion's hands clench into fists. Were the casualties my people? Nadira clicks through to another report. Security guards. Night shift. I'm sorry. The room goes silent. Rion stares at the screen, at the image of his building with smoke rising from shattered windows. 2 men are dead because he tried to stop a criminal network. 2 men with families, with lives. Gone because Kaito Ren wanted to send a message. When Rion speaks, his voice is quiet but filled with cold fury. How do we stop him? We find his network, Nadira says. Every broker, every facilitator, every route. We dismantle it piece by piece until there's nothing left. That could take months. Yes. I don't have months. Every day I'm hiding is another day Ren consolidates power in my company. Another day he corrupts what my father built. Nadira understands his frustration, but she also understands reality. Rushing gets people killed. We do this carefully or we don't do it at all. Kofi, who's been listening quietly, speaks up. There might be another way. Faster, but riskier. Everyone turns to him. David Chung, he's still in play. Ren doesn't know we identified him as the inside source. We could use him. Use him how? Rion asks. As bait, Nadira says, seeing where Kofi is going. We feed him false intelligence. Make him think we're moving on a major shipment. When he reports to Ren, we track the communication, trace it back to Ren's location. Jabari shakes his head. That requires Chung to be predictable. What if he's gone dark after the container yard incident? Then we make him resurface. Rion's voice is stronger now, focused. I still have access to my company's systems. I can schedule a container movement that looks legitimate but fits the profile of previous smuggling operations. Chung will notice. He'll report it. Nadira considers this. It's risky. If Chung suspects a trap, or if Ren sees through the deception, they'll lose their advantage. But doing nothing means more attacks. More casualties. We'll need a container that's valuable enough to be believable. Real artifacts. I can arrange that, Rion says. There's a legitimate shipment of museum pieces scheduled to move from Seoul to Cairo next week. Egyptian artifacts on loan for an exhibition, high value, proper documentation. If we route it through Busan first, claim it's a logistics optimization, Chung will think it's a perfect target. And when he reports it to Ren, we're waiting. With every piece of surveillance equipment we can deploy, we track the communication, trace the signal, and find Ren. It's a solid plan. Nadira still hates it because plans always fall apart when they meet reality. But it's better than waiting for Ren to make the next move. All right, we do this. But if anything feels wrong, we abort. Agreed. Everyone nods. The next week is preparation. Rion, working through secure channels, reschedules the Egyptian artifacts shipment. On paper, it looks like a routine logistics change. A slight route adjustment to optimize delivery times. Nothing suspicious. But to someone looking for opportunities, someone with knowledge of how to exploit shipping routes, it's perfect. Too perfect. Nadira's team deploys to Busan. They set up surveillance around David Chung's apartment, his office, his regular locations. Cameras, signal interceptors. 3-person rotating teams watching every move. For 4 days, Chung's behavior is normal. He goes to work. He comes home. He has dinner with his wife. Nothing unusual. Then, on the 5th day, it happens. Chung leaves his office at lunch, but he doesn't go to his usual restaurant. He walks 6 blocks to a cafe, orders coffee, sits outside. His body language is casual, but Nadira, watching through long-range optics from a building across the street, sees the tension. He's waiting for someone. A man approaches. Asian, 40s, unremarkable in every way. He sits, they talk, and Chung passes him a piece of paper. Old school. No digital trail. The man reads the paper, nods, and leaves. The entire exchange takes 90 seconds. Jabari, positioned 2 blocks away, follows the courier. Nadira stays on Chung. Ghost, the courier is heading east. Walking, not driving. I'm on him. Copy. Stay visual but distant. We need to know where he's going. 20 minutes later, Jabari's voice returns. He entered a building, commercial office space, multiple businesses. Running the registry now. A pause. Got it. The building hosts 7 companies. One of them is a shipping consultation firm. Registered owner, a shell company based in Singapore. That's our connection. Nadira watches Chung finish his coffee and head back to work. Everything appears normal. He thinks he's untraceable. Everyone pull back. We maintain surveillance but stay invisible. If Ren decides to move on the shipment, we need to be ready. 3 days pass. The Egyptian artifacts shipment is loaded onto a truck in Seoul, begins its journey to Busan. According to the manifest, it will arrive at Container Yard 4 at 6 p.m., stay overnight for inspection, then ship to Cairo the next morning. But if Kaito Ren is planning an intercept, it will happen during that overnight window. Nadira's team is in position by 4 p.m. Rooftop observation posts, ground surveillance, 3 vehicles ready for rapid response. And this time, they're not alone. Rion insisted on being present against Nadira's strong objections, but he wouldn't be swayed. It's his company, his responsibility. He's in one of the surveillance vehicles with Kofi, equipped with binoculars and a radio. Nadira made him promise he'd stay in the vehicle no matter what happens. She doesn't believe he'll keep that promise, but at least she tried. 6 p.m. The truck arrives. The container is offloaded, placed in a secure area, tagged for morning shipment. Security guards patrol. Everything appears routine, but Nadira knows appearance means nothing. She watches, waits. 8 p.m. The sun sets. The port lights activate, casting harsh shadows across the container yard. Guard shifts change. New faces on patrol. Nadira checks their identification through long-range optics. 2 of the guards aren't regular port security. Different uniforms, different bearing. Ren's people. She keys her radio. We have infiltrators. 2 guards on the east perimeter. They're in position to access Container Yard 4. Jabari responds. Do we move now? No, we wait for Ren. He'll come. He won't trust this operation to subordinates. 9 p.m. A van enters the port. It has legitimate credentials, waves through the security checkpoint, but it doesn't head to the main terminal. It diverts to Container Yard 4. The van parks. 5 men exit, all armed. They move with military precision toward the Egyptian artifacts container. Nadira is about to give the order to move when another vehicle arrives. Luxury sedan, tinted windows. It parks beside the van, and when the rear door opens, Kaito Ren steps out. He's dressed casually, as if this is a routine business matter. He approaches the container, gestures for his men to open it. They're about to breach the container when Nadira gives the order. All teams go. Lights explode across the container yard. Floodlights from 3 positions, turning night into day. Ren's men freeze, blinded. A voice booms through speakers, amplified and authoritative. Jabari, using the negotiator protocol. This is Port Authority. You're trespassing in a secure area. Put down your weapons and place your hands on your heads. For a moment, Nadira thinks it might work, that Ren will see the impossible odds and surrender. But then Ren smiles, and she knows this is about to go wrong. Ren raises his hand, signals his men. They don't surrender, they scatter, returning fire toward the light sources. Bullets shatter 2 floodlights. Nadira's team responds, but they're shooting to disable, not kill. It puts them at a disadvantage against men with no such restrictions. Nadira moves, advancing through the container maze toward Ren's position. She sees him retreating to his sedan, pulling a weapon from inside his coat. She's about to intercept when gunfire erupts from a new direction. The 2 infiltrator guards, now armed with automatic weapons, providing cover for Ren's escape. The tactical situation deteriorates. What should have been a controlled apprehension turns into a firefight. Nadira hears Kofi on the radio, calling for backup. Jabari repositioning to flank. And then, cutting through all the tactical chatter, she hears Ryan's voice. Nadira, Ren is moving to the west exit. I have visual. Stay in the vehicle, Rion. That's an order. He's getting away. Let him go. We have his operation on camera. We have evidence. But Rion doesn't respond. And Nadira knows with sick certainty what he's about to do. She runs, abandoning her position, sprinting toward the west exit. She rounds a container and sees it unfolding. Rion has left the vehicle, is standing in Ren's path, blocking him. It's stupid and brave and exactly what she was afraid he'd do. Ren stops, his weapon raised, pointing at Rion's chest. The principled billionaire. You should have taken my offer, Mr. Rion. You killed 2 of my people. You corrupted my company. I'm not letting you walk away. Then you'll die here. Ren's finger tightens on the trigger. Nadira doesn't think. She shoots, not at Ren, at the ground near his feet. The bullet sparks off concrete, making him flinch, his shot going wide. In that half-second distraction, Nadira closes the distance. She strikes Ren's wrist, disarming him. His weapon skitters away. He counters with a punch that she barely blocks. He's trained. Good. But she's better. They fight in the narrow space between containers, brutal close-quarters combat. Ren goes for her throat. She breaks his grip, sweeps his legs. He falls, but rolls, comes up with a knife from an ankle sheath. The blade slashes, cutting through her jacket, drawing blood from her forearm. She ignores the pain, waits for his next attack, then counters. Disarms him, pins him face down against a container, his arm twisted behind his back. It's over, Ren. He laughs, even with his face pressed against metal. You think I'm the problem? I'm just a broker, a middleman. The real network is so much bigger than me. Cutting me out changes nothing. Maybe, but it's a start. She zip-ties his hands, hauls him to his feet. Around them, the firefight has ended. Ren's men are either fleeing or captured. Port security, real port security, is flooding the area. Sirens wail. It's messy and public and everything Nadira usually avoids. But it's done. Rion approaches, breathing hard, a gun in his hand that he clearly doesn't know what to do with. Is he alive and talkative? He'll give us names. Nadira hands Ren off to Jabari. Get him out of here. Use the west route. Avoid the cameras. Jabari nods and leads Ren away. Nadira turns to Rion, and the anger she's been suppressing erupts. What part of stay in the vehicle was unclear. He was escaping. So let him escape. We have his operation mapped. We have evidence. We could have tracked him down later without you getting killed. But I didn't get killed. You got lucky. There's a difference. Nadira's hands are shaking slightly, adrenaline and fear mixing into something she doesn't want to examine. You can't do this, Rion. You're not trained for this. You're not built for this. You're a liability in the field. Then train me. His voice is quiet, but certain. Teach me. Because I'm not going back to boardrooms and quarterly reports while people use my company to steal from your people. I'm not walking away from this. Nadira wants to argue, to tell him he's being naive, that this work destroys people slowly, that you can't simply decide to be an operative the way you decide to learn tennis. But she sees in his eyes the same thing she saw in the mirror 7 years ago when she decided to leave Interpol and do things her way. Determination, purpose, the refusal to accept that the world is broken and nothing can be done. If I train you, she says slowly, you follow every order. No improvising, no heroics. You do exactly what I say, when I say it, understand? I understand. And if you can't handle it, if the violence or the moral complexity or the simple fear becomes too much, you walk away. No shame, no judgment, just walk away. Agreed. Nadira looks at him, this billionaire who walked away from his empire to chase ghosts in the dark. She thinks it won't last, that he'll see the reality of this work and flee back to his comfortable life. But maybe, just maybe, she's wrong. Maybe he has the spine for this, the darkness necessary to do what needs doing. Then welcome to the war, Mr. Rion. It's longer than you think. Over the next 4 weeks, Rion learns what Nadira meant. He trains daily, hand-to-hand combat that leaves him bruised and exhausted. Weapons training until his hands ache from recoil. Tactical movement. Surveillance techniques. How to blend into crowds. How to disappear. He learns that being invisible is harder than being famous. And he learns, painfully, that violence in real life is nothing like movies. It's ugly and terrifying, and it stays with you. But he also learns he's capable of it, that when necessary, he can pull the trigger. Make the hard choice. Operate in shades of gray that his previous life never required. And slowly, Nadira begins to trust him. Not with her life, not yet, but with operational responsibilities. Intelligence gathering, surveillance, support roles that keep him away from direct action but make him useful. Meanwhile, Kaito Ren provides exactly what Nadira hoped he would. Names, locations, the structure of a smuggling network that spans from Tokyo to Dubai. He trades information for a reduced sentence, which Nadira arranges through her contacts in various law enforcement agencies. Ren will spend years in prison, but he'll spend them alive. It's more mercy than he deserves, but it's pragmatic. With Ren's intelligence, Nadira orchestrates a series of operations that dismantle the smuggling network piece by piece. A warehouse in Singapore seized, containing 200 pieces of West African art. A broker in Paris arrested, his client list exposed. A shipping route through the Suez Canal closed, cutting off a major transit path. Each operation is successful. Each one returns stolen heritage to its rightful owners. The African Union takes notice. Museums in Lagos, Dakar, and Nairobi suddenly receive crates they thought lost forever. Art historians weep in cataloging rooms. Villages display sculptures that haven't been seen in a century. It's everything Nadira has worked for. Everything she sacrificed her official career to achieve. One afternoon, 6 weeks after the Busan port operation, Nadira stands in a village outside Nairobi. She's here to witness the return of a bronze sculpture, one of the pieces recovered from the Seoul warehouse. The elders have gathered. Children crowd around, curious. When the crate is opened and the sculpture revealed, an old woman gasps. Nadira knows that gasp. She heard it once before in a London museum from her grandmother. It's the sound of seeing something stolen finally returned. The old woman approaches the sculpture, touches it with trembling hands, and begins to cry. Later, as Nadira prepares to leave, the old woman approaches her. "Thank you," she says in Swahili. "My grandmother told me stories of this piece, said it was taken when she was a girl. I never thought I'd see it." Nadira nods, emotion catching in her throat. It's home now, that's what matters. On the drive back to Nairobi, Rion, who accompanied her to witness the return, is quiet. Finally, he speaks. That's why you do this. Not for justice or legality. For moments like that. Yes, I understand now why you walk away from official channels, why you operate outside the system, because the system would take years, maybe decades, to return what you recovered in weeks. The system isn't designed to correct historical wrongs. It's designed to maintain current power structures. Sometimes you have to work around it. And the violence? The moral compromises? Nadira is quiet for a moment. They're necessary evils. I don't enjoy them, but I won't let perfect be the enemy of good. If I have to bend rules and hurt people who profit from theft to return stolen heritage, I'll make that choice every time. Rion processes this. I used to think in binaries, legal or illegal, right or wrong. But this work, it's more complicated than that. Everything is more complicated when you actually engage with it. They drive in companionable silence for a while. Then Rion's phone buzzes. He checks it, and his expression changes. Nadira, you need to see this. He hands her the phone. On the screen is a news article just published. Mysterious artifacts returned across Africa. The Serengeti Ghost strikes again. The article details the recent recoveries, speculates about who's behind them, and includes interviews with grateful museum directors and village elders. But at the bottom of the article is a photograph. Grainy, taken from a distance. It shows Nadira at the village ceremony, her face partially visible. The caption reads, "Unidentified woman present at multiple artifact returns. Authorities seeking to question her." Nadira's blood goes cold. "Pull over." Rion pulls onto the shoulder. Nadira studies the photo, analyzing angles and timestamps. This was taken today by someone in the crowd. A journalist? Maybe. Or someone who knows what I look like and is tracking me. She pulls out her own phone, begins running security protocols. 3 years of perfect anonymity compromised by one photograph. Her mind races through implications. Law enforcement will use facial recognition. Intelligence agencies will get involved. Her network, her operations, everything she's built could collapse. Then her phone rings. Unknown number. She considers not answering, but something makes her pick up. Yes? The voice on the other end is male, speaking English with an East African accent. Hello, Imara? Nadira's hand tightens on the phone. No one has called her that in 7 years. Not since... Who is this? You don't recognize my voice. I'm hurt, sister. It's only been 7 years. The world tilts. Sister. 7 years. There's only one person who could say those words. But he's dead. She watched him die. She stood at his memorial service. She carries his death with her every single day. Abasi. Surprised. So was I when I woke up in a Turkish hospital with half my memories gone. Took me 3 years to remember who I was. Another 2 to track you down. And now, seeing what you've accomplished, I'm impressed, Imara. Or should I call you Nadira now? Nadira's mind is fragmenting. Her brother, Abasi, alive. How is this possible? Long story, one I'll tell you in person, but right now, I need you to listen carefully. The artifacts you've been recovering, they're part of something much bigger, a network that goes back centuries, and you've just painted a target on your back that you don't even understand yet. What are you talking about? The people who really run the smuggling networks, they're not dealers or brokers. They're collectors, old families, old money, old grudges, and they're very, very unhappy with you, which is why I'm calling to warn you they're coming. Who's coming? Everyone. The line goes dead. Nadira sits in the vehicle, phone pressed to her ear, listening to silence. Beside her, Rion is talking, asking questions, but she can't process his words. Her brother, alive, after 7 years, and warning her about a threat she doesn't understand, a network bigger than Kaito Ren, bigger than anything she's faced. She finally focuses on Rion. We need to go dark. Now. All operations suspended. Team scattered. Everything we've built, we hide it. What happened? That call. It was from someone I thought was dead. Someone who shouldn't be able to find me. And if he can find me, others can too. Who was it? Nadira hesitates. She's never told anyone about her brother. About how he died, or didn't die, working for Interpol. About how his death shaped everything she became. But if they're going into hiding together, if Rion is truly part of this now, he deserves to know. My brother, she says quietly. His name is Abasi. 7 years ago, we worked together at Interpol. We were investigating an artifact smuggling ring in Istanbul. There was an explosion. I saw him fall. I thought I watched him die. But he didn't. Apparently not. And if he's alive, if he's been alive this whole time and just now contacted me, there's a reason. A threat serious enough that he broke 7 years of silence to warn me about it. Rion starts the vehicle again, pulls back onto the road. Where do we go? Somewhere off-grid. Somewhere I can regroup and figure out what's happening. Nadira begins making calls on her encrypted phone. Jabari first, then Kofi, then each team member. The same message: scatter, go dark, wait for contact. Within an hour, her entire network will dissolve into nothing. Ghost protocol, the emergency measure she hoped she'd never use. They drive through the night, crossing into Tanzania before dawn. Nadira directs Rion to a safe house she's maintained for 3 years, but never used. It's in a small town, unremarkable in every way. The house is stocked with supplies, weapons, cash in multiple currencies, everything needed to disappear. Once inside, Nadira secures the perimeter, checks communication equipment, and finally allows herself to think. Her brother is alive. The thought keeps cycling through her mind, impossible and undeniable. She wants to believe it's real, that he survived somehow. But she's been in this business long enough to know that impossible returns often come with impossible costs. Rion, watching her pace, finally speaks. Tell me about him. Your brother. Nadira stops pacing, leans against the wall. Abasi was brilliant, idealistic. He believed the system could work if the right people were in it. He joined Interpol to make a difference, convinced me to join too. She smiles slightly, remembering. We were a good team. He was strategic, big picture. I was tactical, operational. Together, we closed cases no one else could touch. What happened in Istanbul? We were investigating a smuggling ring moving Ottoman artifacts through Turkey. Got too close. There was a car bomb. Abasi was walking toward the vehicle when it detonated. I was 20 feet behind him. The explosion threw me back, but him... She stops, the memory sharp even after 7 years. I saw him fall, saw the fire. Emergency services couldn't reach him for 15 minutes. By the time they did, there was nothing to recover. But if he's alive, then someone pulled him out, saved him, or took him, and spent 7 years keeping him hidden. The question is why, and why reveal himself now? Rion considers this. He said you painted a target on your back, that collectors are coming. Maybe he's been watching, waiting for a time when you'd need his warning. Or maybe he's part of whatever threat is coming. Nadira says what she's been thinking but not voicing. 7 years is a long time. People change. Loyalties shift. You think he's compromised? I think I don't know anymore, and in this work, not knowing means assuming threat until proven otherwise. They spend the next 2 days in the safe house, monitoring communications, waiting for more information. Nadira's network remains dark, scattered across 3 continents. No one moves, no one makes contact. Perfect silence. But on the 3rd day, the silence breaks. A message arrives through an encrypted channel Nadira hasn't used in years. One she set up with her brother before Istanbul. A dead channel. Until now. The message is short. Warehouse 7, Dar es Salaam Port. Midnight, come alone. Rion reads the message over her shoulder. It's obviously a trap. Obviously. So we don't go. We go. But not alone. Nadira begins planning. Dar es Salaam is 8 hours south. That gives her time to position her team, prepare contingencies, set up overwatch. If this is a trap, she'll spring it on her terms. Contact Jabari. Have him pull in Kofi and the others. I want full tactical setup by 11 p.m. And if it's really your brother, if he's actually trying to help, then he'll understand why I'm bringing backup. They arrive in Dar es Salaam as the sun sets, the Indian Ocean turning gold and red. Nadira's team is already in position, invisible among the port's regular chaos. Jabari has eyes on the warehouse from a rooftop 3 buildings away. Kofi is mobile, ready to respond. 4 others create a perimeter that can collapse into support or extraction in seconds. At 11:45 p.m., Nadira approaches Warehouse 7. Rion wanted to come, but she refused. This is personal. Family. and if it goes wrong, she won't risk him. He's back at their secondary location, monitoring communications, ready to call in authorities if things deteriorate. The warehouse is dark, door unlocked. Nadira enters, weapon drawn, night vision active. The space is empty except for shipping containers and industrial equipment. No ambush, no armed men, just a figure standing in the center, silhouetted by moonlight through a broken skylight. She recognizes his build before his face. Taller than her by 4 inches, broader in the shoulders. The way he stands, weight balanced, ready to move. It's Abasi, or someone who looks remarkably like him. You can lower your weapon, Imara. I'm not here to hurt you. She keeps the weapon raised. Prove you're who you say you are. He steps forward into a beam of moonlight. His face, older than she remembers, scarred along the left side from burns. But his eyes, dark brown. The same eyes that taught her chess when she was 7. The same eyes that convinced her to join Interpol when she was 24. Her brother's eyes. Our grandmother used to tell us a story, he says quietly, about a lion who forgot he was a lion and tried to live as a sheep. Do you remember? Nadira does remember. It was their grandmother's parable about identity, about remembering who you really are. Only Abasi would know that story. Only family. She lowers her weapon. How are you alive? The explosion in Istanbul. I should have died. But someone pulled me out. A collector. Someone who recognized my name, knew my family. They saved me, but the injuries were severe. Burns, broken bones, traumatic brain injury. I spent months in a coma. When I woke, I didn't remember who I was. Took 3 years of physical therapy and psychological counseling to piece it together. And you didn't contact me. Didn't let me know you survived. I couldn't. The people who saved me, they had conditions. I work for them now, have for 4 years. Nadira feels her world shifting. You work for smugglers? I work for collectors. There's a difference. The families I serve, they've been preserving artifacts for centuries. Not stealing, preserving, protecting cultural heritage from being lost or destroyed. By keeping it from the cultures it belongs to. By keeping it safe until those cultures can properly protect it themselves. Abasi's voice carries conviction. Do you know how many artifacts are destroyed by war, by political instability, by simple neglect? The pieces I help move, they're catalogued, preserved, studied, and yes, eventually returned when conditions are right. You're rationalizing theft. And you're oversimplifying a complex situation. He steps closer. Imara, I've spent 4 years inside this network. I've seen how deep it goes. These aren't criminals. They're historians, archaeologists, people who've dedicated their lives to preservation. Yes, some operate outside legal frameworks, but they're not the enemy. Then who is? The ones who want to destroy rather than preserve. The extremists who see cultural artifacts as symbols of colonialism and want them obliterated. The warlords who sell heritage to fund conflicts. Those are the threats. And your operations, all your recoveries, you've disrupted the very networks that were protecting artifacts from those real threats. Nadira processes this. It's a narrative she's never considered. A version of events where she's not the hero returning stolen goods, but the disruptor endangering them. She wants to reject it, but she knows propaganda often contains kernels of truth wrapped in justification. Why are you telling me this? Because the people you've been hitting, they're getting desperate. They've lost millions in artifacts, lost roots, lost connections, and now they're going to respond, not with arrest or legal action, with violence. They're going to eliminate you and everyone in your network. Let them try. Imara, don't be naive. These people have resources you can't imagine. Private armies, government contacts. They can erase you from existence and make it look natural. The only reason you're still alive is because I convinced them you could be turned. that you could work with us instead of against us. You want me to join them, to help preserve theft. I want you to survive, and I want you to understand that the world isn't as simple as stolen and returned. Some artifacts are safer in private collections than in countries experiencing civil wars. Some are better preserved by wealthy collectors than by underfunded museums. It's not black and white. Nadira feels anger rising. Our grandmother cried in that London museum because she saw her heritage behind glass, labeled as acquired, not stolen. That's black and white enough for me. Grandmother was emotional, but would she rather that sculpture be in London, intact, or destroyed in a conflict somewhere? Because those are the real choices. No, the real choice is returning it to its home and helping that home protect it, which is what I've been doing. Abasi sighs. Then I can't protect you anymore. I tried, Imara. I really tried. But if you won't work with us, they'll eliminate you. All of you. Is that a threat? It's a warning from family. Please think about this. You have 48 hours to reconsider. After that, I won't be able to stop what's coming. He turns to leave, but Nadira calls out. Abasi, when you remember who you are, when you stop rationalizing theft as preservation, you'll know where to find me. Until then, stay out of my way. He pauses, looks back. For a moment, she sees pain in his eyes. Then he vanishes into the darkness. Nadira stands alone in the warehouse, her world reshaped. Her brother is alive but working for the enemy. Or maybe not the enemy. Maybe a more complicated truth that she's not ready to accept. She taps her earpiece. Jabari. Status? Clean exit. He left alone. No backup visible. Maintain surveillance on the warehouse. I want to know if anyone else shows up. She leaves through a side entrance, meets Kofi 2 blocks away. They drive in silence back to their safe location. Rion is waiting, anxious. What happened? Nadira tells him everything. The conversation, the warning, the 48-hour timeline. When she finishes, Rion is quiet for a long moment. Then he asks the question she's been dreading. Do you believe him? About the collectors preserving rather than stealing? I don't know. Part of it makes sense. War does destroy cultural heritage. Political instability does put artifacts at risk. But that doesn't justify private ownership of what belongs to entire cultures. But what if he's right? What if some of the people you've been targeting are actually protecting artifacts that would otherwise be destroyed? Then I'll feel terrible while I continue recovering them. Nadira's voice is hard. Because even if his logic is sound, the principle is wrong. These pieces belong to the people they were taken from, not to wealthy collectors who think they know better. Rion nods slowly. So what do we do about the threat? We prepare. If they're coming, we'll be ready. The next 48 hours are preparation. Nadira calls in her entire network, abandons the scattered protocol. If there's going to be a war, she needs her people together, not spread across continents. They gather in Tanzania, 15 operatives total. The largest assembly of her team in 3 years. She briefs them on the threat. Some argue for going dark again, disappearing completely. Others want to strike first, hit the collectors before they can mobilize. But Nadira chooses a third option, fortification. They select a defensible location, a compound outside Arusha. High walls, clear sight lines, multiple exits. They stock it with weapons, supplies, communications equipment. If the collectors want a war, they'll get one. But on Nadira's terms. Rion works alongside them, no longer the uncertain billionaire, but a functioning member of the team. He handles logistics, coordinates supply chains, uses his remaining corporate resources to acquire what they need. Nadira watches him work and realizes he's changed. The soft edges are gone, replaced by competence earned through training and stress. On the evening of the 48-hour deadline, the compound is ready. 15 defenders. Enough weapons for 30. Defensive positions established. Communications monitored. They wait. Midnight passes. Nothing. 1 a.m. Still nothing. At 2 a.m. Jabari, on watch in the North Tower, reports movement. 3 vehicles approaching on the East Road. No headlights. Everyone moves to positions. Nadira checks her weapon, centers herself. This is it, the threat Abbasi warned about. She wonders if he's with them, if she'll have to fight her own brother. The thought creates pain she pushes away. No room for emotion now, only tactics. The vehicles stop outside weapon range. Engines cut. For 5 minutes, nothing happens. Then a voice calls out, amplified by a speaker. Nadira Solange. We're here to talk, not fight. It's a woman's voice. British accent, cultured. Nadira recognizes the tone of old money, old education. She responds through her own speaker. You came armed to talk? We came prepared for multiple scenarios, but we prefer dialogue. Then come forward, alone, unarmed. A pause. Then a single figure emerges from the center vehicle. A woman, perhaps 60, dressed in practical clothing. She walks forward with confidence, hands visible and empty. Stops 50 meters from the compound gate. My name is Catherine Ashford. I represent a coalition of collectors and preservationists. May I approach? Nadira makes a decision. You can approach, but if this is a trap, you die first. Catherine smiles slightly. Understood. She walks to the gate. Up close, Nadira can see she's exactly what she sounds like. British aristocracy, educated, confident, used to getting what she wants. She looks at Nadira with genuine curiosity. You're younger than I expected, and more principled, according to Abbasi. You know my brother. He works for our coalition, has for 4 years. A brilliant strategist. He's the reason we're here talking instead of fighting. Then talk. Catherine glances around the compound, assessing their defenses. Impressive. You've built something remarkable here. A network that operates outside official channels, but achieves what governments can't or won't. We respect that, which is why we're offering you a partnership instead of elimination. I don't partner with thieves. We're not thieves. We're custodians. There's a difference. Catherine's voice is patient, like a teacher with a stubborn student. Let me explain our perspective. The artifacts you recover, where do they go? Back to their countries of origin. And once there, are they properly preserved, catalogued, protected? That's not my concern. Once they're home, they're home. But it should be your concern, because we've tracked your recoveries. Of the 200 artifacts you've returned over 3 years, 17 have since been stolen again by local criminals. 8 have been damaged by improper storage. 3 have simply vanished, probably sold by corrupt officials. Is that success? Nadira feels the accusation like a physical blow because she knows it's true. She's heard reports of re-thefts, read about damage, but she's pushed those facts away, focused on the victories. Catherine continues, relentless. Our coalition has protected artifacts for centuries. We have climate-controlled facilities, expert conservators, security that ensures pieces survive for future generations. When conditions in their home countries stabilize, when proper infrastructure exists, we return them, but not before they're secure. That's colonialism with a preservation veneer. Perhaps. Or perhaps it's pragmatism. The world is messy. Countries experience coups, wars, economic collapses. In those chaotic periods, cultural heritage gets destroyed. We prevent that destruction, while keeping the artifacts for yourselves, while keeping them safe. Catherine steps closer to the gate. Nadira, we're not offering you a philosophical debate. We're offering you a choice. Join us. Use your skills to identify artifacts at risk. Help us preserve them properly. And when the time is right, help us return them to stable, capable institutions. Or refuse. and watch as we dismantle your network piece by piece. That's a threat. It's reality. You've been a nuisance for 3 years, disrupting carefully balanced preservation efforts. We've been patient because Abasi vouched for you, but our patience has limits. Nadira wants to refuse, to send this woman away and fight whatever comes next, but she's responsible for 14 other people now. For Jabari and Kofi and all the others who trusted her vision, she can't let pride get them killed. I need time, to think, to consult my team. Catherine nods. You have 72 hours. After that, our offer expires, and we move to less pleasant options. She turns to leave, then pauses. Your brother asked me to tell you something. He said, remember the lion. Make of that what you will. She walks back to her vehicles. They start their engines and depart, vanishing into the African night. Nadira stands at the gate, her mind racing. Remember the lion. The parable. The lion who forgot he was a lion and tried to live as a sheep. Was Abasi telling her to remember who she really is, or was he suggesting she's forgotten? She returns to the compound's main building where her team has gathered. 15 faces look at her, waiting for guidance. She tells them everything. Catherine's offer, the philosophical argument, the 72-hour deadline. When she finishes, the room erupts in debate. Some argue for accepting. The resources and protection could be valuable. Others call it surrender. Betrayal of everything they've worked for. Rion, surprisingly, offers a third perspective. What if we accept but on our terms? Join their coalition but maintain operational independence. Use their resources while ensuring recovered artifacts actually get returned, not indefinitely preserved. Jabari shakes his head. They'll never agree to that. This is a takeover, not a partnership. Then we negotiate, Kofi says. Find middle ground. We have leverage. They want our network. We want their resources. There's a deal somewhere. The debate continues for hours. Finally, exhausted, they agree to sleep on it. Decisions made when tired are decisions regretted. They'll reconvene in the morning with clear heads. But Nadira can't sleep. She stands on the compound's wall looking at stars scattered across the African sky. The same stars her grandmother saw, the same stars that watched empires rise and fall, watched art be created and stolen and sometimes returned. In the cosmic scale, her crusade is infinitesimally small, but it's hers, her choice, her fight, footsteps behind her. Rion joins her on the wall. Can't sleep either. Too much to think about. They stand in comfortable silence for a while. Then Rion speaks. For what it's worth, I think your brother is wrong. The collectors aren't preservationists, they're hoarders. They keep things because they can, not because they should. How can you be sure? Because I used to be one. Not of artifacts, but of companies. I acquired businesses, told myself it was about growth and optimization, but really it was about possession, about having something others wanted. I only stopped when I realized possession isn't purpose. Nadira looks at him. When did you realize that? The night in the Seoul warehouse. When you appeared from nowhere and proved that someone operating outside my world, outside my rules, could achieve more in one night than I achieved in years of acquisitions. You showed me that purpose matters more than possession. Careful, Mr. Rion. You're starting to sound idealistic. He smiles. I had a good teacher. They're standing close now, shoulders almost touching. Nadira is acutely aware of his presence, his warmth. For 3 years, she's kept herself isolated. No relationships, no vulnerability. But Rion has somehow slipped past her defenses, become something she didn't expect. Not quite a friend, not quite a partner. Something undefined that scares her more than armed mercenaries. Before she can examine that feeling, an alarm sounds. Jabari's voice crackles over the radio. Breach on the south perimeter, single person, moving fast. Everyone mobilizes. Weapons drawn. Defensive positions manned. Nadira reaches the south wall in seconds, night vision active. She sees the figure climbing the fence. Small, agile, definitely not an attack. This is infiltration, but to what purpose? The figure drops inside the compound, lands in a crouch. Nadira has her weapon trained on them. Don't move. The figure straightens, raises empty hands. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to help. The voice is male, young, East African accent. He steps into the courtyard's light, and Nadira sees he's barely 20. Dressed in simple clothes, a backpack over one shoulder, he looks terrified but determined. My name is Tariq. I work for the collectors. I'm a conservator, and I need your help. Nadira keeps her weapon steady. Why would a collector's employee need my help? Because Catherine Ashford lied to you. The coalition isn't preserving artifacts. They're selling them to private buyers, black market auctions. I have proof. He slowly removes his backpack, opens it, pulls out a tablet. These are internal documents, sales records, financial transfers. The collectors claim they're protecting cultural heritage, but they're running the largest smuggling operation in history. Billions of dollars, thousands of artifacts, all sold to the highest bidder. Nadira takes the tablet, scrolls through documents, sales receipts, auction results, bank transfers to accounts in Switzerland, the Cayman Islands, Singapore. If this is real, it confirms everything she suspected and more. Catherine's preservation story was exactly what she thought. Colonialism repackaged. But this could also be a trap. False intelligence designed to manipulate her into making a mistake. Why bring this to me? Why not authorities? Because the collectors own the authorities. Judges, police chiefs, Interpol agents, all bought. The only person who can stop this is someone operating outside the system. Someone like you. Nadira studies the young man. He's either telling the truth or he's an incredible actor. What do you want in return? I want you to destroy them, the collectors, the entire network. They recruited me by lying, said I'd be preserving heritage, but I'm just enabling theft. His voice cracks slightly. My father was a museum curator in Ethiopia. He spent his life trying to recover stolen pieces. He died, never succeeding. I won't let his work be meaningless. Family, legacy. The same motivations driving Nadira. She lowers her weapon. Come inside. Let's examine what you brought. Over the next 6 hours, Nadira and her team analyze Tariq's documents. If legitimate, they reveal a network far larger than she imagined. The collectors aren't just operating in Africa. They're global. Artifacts from South America, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. Hundreds of pieces moving through a sophisticated laundering system that makes them appear legitimate. Rion, using his financial expertise, traces the money. These accounts are shell corporations hiding shell corporations. But the pattern is clear. Funds ultimately flow to 3 primary entities, all based in London, all owned by families with centuries of wealth. Jabari, examining the provenance documents, whistles low. Some of these pieces are supposed to be in museums, official museum collections. How are they selling what's already supposedly preserved? Forgeries, Tariq explains. The museums display replicas, perfect copies. Only experts could tell the difference. Meanwhile, the real pieces get sold. It's audacious, criminal, and exactly what Nadira has been fighting against, only on a scale she never comprehended. She looks at her team. If we do this, if we go after the collectors, it's not like before. This isn't intercepting shipments. This is dismantling an organization with resources and connections we can't match. Some of us might not survive. Kofi speaks first. Then we don't survive, but at least we tried. One by one, the others nod. Consent, commitment, the kind of loyalty Nadira never asked for but received anyway. She turns to Rion. You don't have to be part of this. You've already done more than anyone expected. I'm not walking away, he says simply. Not now. The decision is made. They're going to war against the collectors, but this time with inside intelligence and a motivated informant. Nadira begins planning immediately. Target priority. Resources needed. Timeline. They have 72 hours before Catherine expects an answer. Nadira intends to give her one. Just not the answer she's expecting. The operation they design is ambitious. Simultaneous. Strikes across 4 continents. Nadira's network, combined with Rion's corporate resources and Tariq's inside information, creates a weapon the collectors won't anticipate. While Catherine waits for surrender, they'll be systematically dismantling everything she represents. They disperse again, each team to a different city. London, Singapore, Cairo, São Paulo. Nadira and Rion take London. It's the heart, the source. If they can expose the 3 primary families Rion identified, the entire network collapses. London is cold and grey when they arrive. They establish a base in a rented flat in Southwark, unassuming and forgettable. For 3 days, they surveillance the first target, the Ashford estate, Catherine's family home. A mansion in Kensington, surrounded by walls and security. But Tariq provided access codes and guard schedules. What appears impregnable has vulnerabilities. On the 4th night, Nadira enters the estate. Not through the gate or over the walls, but through the underground. London is a city built on layers. Roman sewers beneath medieval foundations beneath Victorian engineering. Tariq's intelligence included tunnel access that emerges in the Ashford wine cellar. It's a path built centuries ago for smuggling, now used for the same purpose. Nadira moves through darkness, her path memorized. The cellar, the service stairs, the private office where Catherine keeps her personal records. Physical records, not digital. Old families trust paper more than drives. She reaches the office, picks the lock, and begins photographing. Files, ledgers, correspondence dating back decades, evidence that the Ashford family has been orchestrating artifact theft since the 1960s. She's halfway through when she hears footsteps, not guards, lighter, a woman's stride. The door opens. Catherine Ashford stands there, dressed in a robe, holding a glass of wine. She looks at Nadira without surprise. I wondered when you'd come. Nadira doesn't draw her weapon. No point. If Catherine expected her, there are guards nearby. You knew I'd refuse your offer. I hoped you wouldn't, but yes, I anticipated you might try this. Catherine enters the office, closes the door behind her. Tariq gave you access, didn't he? The boy with the dead father and the guilty conscience. I wondered how long before he broke. You knew he was sympathetic. I counted on it. Young idealists are predictable. Catherine sits in her desk chair, utterly relaxed. He gave you documents showing we sell artifacts, financial records, auction results, and you believed it because it confirmed what you wanted to believe. Nadira feels cold certainty settling in her stomach. It's false. The intelligence was false. Not entirely false. We do sell artifacts, but only ones we've verified as beyond recovery or return. Pieces from cultures that no longer exist. Objects with no living claimants. We auction those to fund the preservation of everything else. It's pragmatic. You're still thieves. We're accountants, balancing preservation costs against available funding, not romantic, but effective. Catherine sips her wine. The documents Tariq gave you are real, but they're incomplete. They show sales without context. You saw theft. I see financial sustainability. What about the forgeries? The museums displaying copies while you sell originals. That's the one thing Tariq got genuinely right, and it's a problem I've been meaning to address. Some members of our coalition have gotten greedy. replacing museum pieces with forgeries to sell originals. It's short-sighted and dangerous, but it's not everyone. And it's not me. Nadira wants to believe she's lying, but something in Catherine's tone rings true. So what now? You call your guards, I get arrested? No, now I make you a different offer. The original was partnership. This one is alliance. You help me clean house, remove the corrupt elements of our coalition, the members who've turned preservation into profit. In exchange, I give you access to our archives. Every artifact we hold, you can verify. Anything that should be returned, we return. No resistance. Why would you do that? Because you're right. Some of my people have forgotten why we started this. They see artifacts as assets, not heritage. I want to return to our founding principles. But I can't do it alone. I need someone from outside. Someone with your reputation and your network. Someone who can't be bought. Nadira studies the woman, Catherine Ashford. Born into wealth. Raised to believe her family's mission was righteous. And maybe, on some level, it was. Preservation isn't inherently wrong. But the execution, the secrecy, the paternalism of deciding what's best for cultures not your own, that's where righteousness curdles into arrogance. I'll need guarantees, oversight, verification. You'll have it. Full access, transparent accounting. Your team can inspect any facility we maintain. And the corrupt members, the ones selling and forging. You help me identify them, I'll handle removal. Catherine's voice goes cold. This coalition was built by my grandfather to protect cultural heritage. I won't let greedy descendants destroy that legacy. It's not the outcome Nadira expected. Not surrender or victory, but something messier. Compromise. Partnership with someone she doesn't fully trust to achieve goals she can't reach alone. She thinks of her grandmother. Would she approve? Probably not. But she might understand. Sometimes you work with imperfect allies to achieve imperfect justice. I want my brother, Nadira says. Abasi. He works for you. I want him freed from whatever obligation he has. Done. He never wanted to be here anyway. He stayed because he thought he was protecting you. And one more thing. The 3 families in London, the ones funding this operation. I want full disclosure. Who they are, what they own, what they've taken. Catherine hesitates, then nods. Agreed. But understand, exposing them publicly would collapse institutions, museums would close, careers would end. Are you prepared for that collateral damage? I'm prepared for truth. What people do with it is their choice. They shake hands. An alliance formed in a mansion office at 3 a.m. Nadira leaves the way she came, through tunnels and darkness. When she emerges, Rion is waiting. Did you get it? I got something better, a partnership, temporary, conditional, and probably unwise, but maybe effective. Over the next 6 weeks, Nadira and Catherine worked together to dismantle the corrupt wing of the Collectors' Coalition. It's surgical. Quiet. Certain families lose access to archives. Certain individuals face internal investigations. And slowly, artifacts begin moving in the right direction, not to private homes, but to proper institutions. Museums with transparent acquisition policies. Cultural centers in countries of origin. Nadira verifies every transfer personally. She travels to Benin to witness bronzes returning. To Egypt to see papyri properly archived, to Kenya to watch ancient tools displayed for the community they came from. It's not perfect, nothing is, but it's progress, real, measurable progress. And her brother, Abasi. Catherine keeps her word. He's released from his obligations. They meet again, this time in a cafe in Nairobi. It's awkward at first. 7 years of absence and then betrayal, or what felt like betrayal, creates distance that coffee can't bridge. But they talk. About Istanbul, about the years lost, about whether their paths might converge again. "I'm not asking you to join me," Nadira says. "I'm just asking you to remember who you were, the idealist who believed the system could work." Abasi smiles sadly. "That person died in Istanbul, but maybe someone new can be built from what's left. It's not reconciliation, not yet. But it's a start, hope wrapped in uncertainty. She'll take it." Months pass. The uneasy alliance with Catherine holds, artifacts flow to proper homes. The corrupt collectors fade into obscurity or face prosecution. Nadira's network, instead of operating in shadows, works semi-openly. Not legal, but tolerated. A necessary evil that achieves what official channels can't. Rion returns to his company, but changed. He restructures Rion Logistics to include transparency protocols, independent audits, strict verification that prevents future exploitation. He donates significant resources to museums in Africa, and once a month, he joins Nadira on operations. Not as a civilian anymore, but as a trained partner, competent, trusted. One evening, after successfully recovering a shipment of Mayan artifacts destined for an illegal auction, they sit on a rooftop in Mexico City. The city sprawls below them, millions of lights against darkness. Nadira thinks about how far they've come, how much has changed, and how much more work remains. Rion, reading her thoughts in that way he's developed, speaks. "You're thinking it's not enough, that there are still thousands of pieces out there. There are hundreds of thousands of pieces. What we've recovered is a fraction. Then we keep going. One piece at a time. One network at a time. For how long? As long as it takes." Nadira looks at him, sees in his eyes the same determination that drove her for 3 years alone. But now she's not alone. She has a team, an alliance, and maybe something else. Something she's been afraid to name because naming it makes it real, and real things can be lost. But fear of loss isn't reason enough to avoid living. She leans against him just slightly, feels him shift to accommodate her weight. They sit like that, two people who stumbled into each other's orbits and somehow created something neither planned but both needed. The night is cool, the city is loud, and somewhere below, cultural heritage continues its long journey home. 3 weeks later, Nadira is in her Nairobi apartment when her phone buzzes. Encrypted message. Unknown sender. She almost deletes it. She gets dozens of these daily now that her reputation has grown. But something makes her open it. The message is short. The ghost returns home. The lion remembers. 7 years is too long, Imara. Her blood goes cold. It's the same message Abasi sent months ago, word for word. But Abasi is in Cairo, working on a recovery project. She just spoke to him yesterday. This isn't him. She calls him immediately. He answers on the first ring. "Imara, what's wrong? Did you send me a message just now? Encrypted. About the lion remembering." "No, I haven't sent you anything in days." "Why?" "Because someone just did, using your exact words from before." Silence on the line. Then Abasi's voice, tight with concern. "That's not possible. That phrase, 'the lion remembers,' it's from our grandmother's story. Only family knows it." "Then someone in our family sent it. Or someone who knows our family very well." "Imara, our family's small. Me, you, 2 cousins in Tanzania. That's it." "What about the collectors? Could one of them have accessed your personal files? Your communications?" "I don't know. Maybe. But why would they use that specific phrase?" Nadira doesn't have an answer. She ends the call and immediately contacts Catherine Ashford. Catherine responds within minutes. "I'll investigate. If someone is accessing Abasi's personal information, they're breaching our security protocols. I'll have answers within 24 hours. But 24 hours pass. Then 48. Catherine reports finding nothing, no breaches, no unauthorized access. The message came from nowhere and went nowhere. Untraceable. Nadira tries to push it aside. Focus on work. There's a recovery operation in Sudan that needs planning. A new trafficking route through the Mediterranean that requires investigation. But the message haunts her. 7 years is too long. Too long for what? Too long since what event? She's lying in bed, unable to sleep when realization hits. 7 years ago. Istanbul. The bombing. Abbasi's supposed death. But what if he wasn't the target? What if someone else was supposed to die that day? She pulls up old files from her Interpol days. The Istanbul investigation, reports, surveillance. The car bomb was meant for someone. But who? She and Abbasi were walking together toward the vehicle. If the bomb was meant for one of them, it could have been either. She digs deeper, finds a detail she missed before. The car that exploded wasn't their assigned vehicle. It was a replacement, swapped at the last minute due to mechanical issues. Someone arranged that swap. Someone who knew their schedule. Someone inside Interpol. The thought chills her. If someone inside the organization wanted one of them dead and failed, would they simply give up? Or would they wait? Watch. Let 7 years pass until the target felt safe, then strike. Nadira stands, begins packing, weapons, documents, cash. If someone's coming, she won't wait for them to arrive. She'll move, disappear. But first, she needs to warn her team. She reaches for her phone when it buzzes again. Another message. Same encryption. Same unknown sender. Nairobi Museum, South Entrance. Dawn. Come alone or everyone you love dies. Nadira stares at the message. It's a trap, obviously. But whoever sent it knows where she is. Knows her team. Knows enough to be dangerous. If she doesn't go, they'll target Jabari, Kofi, Rion. Everyone who trusted her. She has 3 hours until dawn. She spends them preparing, body armor under her clothes, multiple weapons, trackers in her shoes. She sends encrypted messages to her team, telling them to go dark immediately. Then she contacts Rion. He's in Seoul, safe. For now. Someone's targeting me, she tells him. It's connected to Istanbul, to something that happened before Abbasi's supposed death. I'm walking into a trap at dawn. If I don't contact you by 8 a.m., assume I'm compromised. Scatter the team. Shut down all operations. Nadira, don't go. We can figure this out together. There's no time. They'll target all of you if I don't show. Then let them come for me. I'm not letting you walk into this alone. You don't have a choice. She ends the call before he can argue further. Dawn comes grey and cold. Nairobi Museum is closed, the grounds empty. Nadira approaches the south entrance, every sense alert. She's been in hundreds of dangerous situations, but this feels different, personal, as if everything she's been through has led to this moment. The south entrance is unlocked. She enters, finds herself in a storage area. Artifacts in crates, closed rooms, dim lighting, and at the far end, a figure sitting in a chair, face in shadow. The Serengeti Ghost, the figure says. Female voice. Kenyan accent. You've been busy. 3 years of disrupting networks, recovering artifacts, playing hero. Who are you? The figure stands, steps into the light. A woman, perhaps 50. Features that seem vaguely familiar, though Nadira can't place them. You don't remember me. Why would you? I was just a junior analyst at Interpol. No one important, but I remember you. I remember your brother, and I remember how you destroyed my career. Nadira's mind races through memories. Interpol. 7 years ago, junior analysts. There were dozens. But this woman's face triggers something. A case. An investigation that went wrong. Someone was fired. Disgraced. You were the leak. The one selling information to the smugglers we were investigating. I was trying to feed my family. You and your brother exposed me, ruined me. I lost everything. You were compromising investigations, getting people killed. I was surviving. The woman's voice cracks with old rage. And you two, with your principles and your mission, you destroyed me without a second thought. So yes, I arranged that car bomb. It was supposed to kill you both. When it only took Abasi, I thought that was enough. But then I heard he survived. And I realized I needed to finish what I started. Abasi survived, but you waited 7 years. Why? Because I needed you both vulnerable first. I needed to take away your network, your resources, your confidence, and then, when you thought you were winning, I'd take everything else. Nadira hears footsteps behind her. She turns to find armed figures emerging from the storage rooms. 5 of them. Professional, mercenary grade. She's trapped, outgunned, and exactly where her enemy wanted her. But Nadira didn't survive 3 years operating in shadows by being unprepared. She taps a button hidden in her sleeve, a signal, not to her team who she ordered to scatter, but to someone else, someone who wouldn't listen, who never listens when she gives orders meant to protect him. Rion, he's supposed to be in Seoul, but Nadira knows him well enough by now. He wouldn't stay away. He'd follow. He'd position himself as backup. He's predictable that way. Stupidly, beautifully predictable. The woman approaches, pulling a weapon from her coat. Any last words, Ghost? Yes. You should have checked if I came alone. The museum's skylight explodes. Glass rains down. Through the opening, figures rappel. Not Rion. He's not trained for tactical insertion, but Jabari is, and Kofi, and 4 others who ignored her orders to scatter because they're loyal to a fault. The mercenaries react, but Nadira's team is faster. Smoke grenades detonate. Flashbangs disorient. In the chaos, Nadira moves, disarms the nearest mercenary, uses his weapon to provide cover fire. The woman who tried to kill her is fleeing toward an exit. Nadira pursues. They end up in the museum's main hall, surrounded by displays of African history. Masks, sculptures, artifacts return to their home. The woman backs away, weapon raised but hand shaking. You should have died 7 years ago. But I didn't, and neither did my brother. You failed, twice. Then I'll make sure I succeed this time. She fires. Nadira dodges. The bullet shatters a display case. Ancient pottery fragments explode. Nadira returns fire, aiming low. Non-lethal. Even now, even against someone who tried to kill her, she won't cross that line. The woman drops, wounded in the leg. Nadira approaches, kicks the weapon away. It's over. For me. But there are others. People you've angered. Networks you've disrupted. They'll come for you eventually. Let them come. I'm not hiding anymore. It's awkward at first. 7 years of absence and then betrayal, or what felt like betrayal, creates distance that coffee can't bridge. But they talk. About Istanbul, about the years lost, about whether their paths might converge again. I'm not asking you to join me, Nadira says. I'm just asking you to remember who you were, the idealist who believed the system could work. Abasi smiles sadly. That person died in Istanbul, but maybe someone new can be built from what's left. It's not reconciliation. Not yet. But it's a start, hope wrapped in uncertainty. She'll take it. Months pass. The uneasy alliance with Catherine holds. Artifacts flow to proper homes. The corrupt collectors fade into obscurity or face prosecution. Nadira's network, instead of operating in shadows, works semi-openly. Not legal, but tolerated. A necessary evil that achieves what official channels can't. Rion returns to his company, but changed. He restructures Rion Logistics to include transparency protocols, independent audits, strict verification that prevents future exploitation. He donates significant resources to museums in Africa, and once a month, he joins Nadira on operations. Not as a civilian anymore, but as a trained partner, competent, trusted. One evening, after successfully recovering a shipment of Mayan artifacts destined for an illegal auction, they sit on a rooftop in Mexico City. The city sprawls below them, millions of lights against darkness. Nadira thinks about how far they've come, how much has changed, and how much more work remains. Rion, reading her thoughts in that way he's developed, speaks. You're thinking it's not enough, that there are still thousands of pieces out there. There are hundreds of thousands of pieces. What we've recovered is a fraction. Then we keep going. One piece at a time. One network at a time. For how long? As long as it takes. Nadira looks at him, sees in his eyes the same determination that drove her for 3 years alone. But now she's not alone. She has a team, an alliance, and maybe something else. Something she's been afraid to name because naming it makes it real, and real things can be lost. But fear of loss isn't reason enough to avoid living. She leans against him just slightly, feels him shift to accommodate her weight. They sit like that, two people who stumbled into each other's orbits and somehow created something neither planned but both needed. The night is cool. The city is loud, and somewhere below, cultural heritage continues its long journey home. 3 weeks later, Nadira is in her Nairobi apartment when her phone buzzes. Encrypted message. Unknown sender. She almost deletes it. She gets dozens of these daily now that her reputation has grown. But something makes her open it. The message is short. The ghost returns home. The lion remembers. 7 years is too long, Amara. Her blood goes cold. It's the same message Abasi sent months ago, word for word. But Abasi is in Cairo, working on a recovery project. She just spoke to him yesterday. This isn't him. She calls him immediately. He answers on the first ring. Imara, what's wrong? Did you send me a message just now? Encrypted. About the lion remembering. No, I haven't sent you anything in days. Why? Because someone just did, using your exact words from before. Silence on the line. Then Abasi's voice, tight with concern. That's not possible. That phrase, the lion remembers, it's from our grandmother's story. Only family knows it. Then someone in our family sent it. Or someone who knows our family very well. Imara, our family's small. Me, you, 2 cousins in Tanzania. That's it. What about the collectors? Could one of them have accessed your personal files? Your communications? I don't know. Maybe. But why would they use that specific phrase? Nadira doesn't have an answer. She ends the call and immediately contacts Catherine Ashford. Catherine responds within minutes. I'll investigate. If someone is accessing Abasi's personal information, they're breaching our security protocols. I'll have answers within 24 hours. But 24 hours pass. Then 48. Catherine reports finding nothing. No breaches, no unauthorized access. The message came from nowhere and went nowhere. Untraceable. Nadira tries to push it aside. Focus on work. There's a recovery operation in Sudan that needs planning. A new trafficking route through the Mediterranean that requires investigation. But the message haunts her. 7 years is too long. Too long for what? Too long since what event? She's lying in bed, unable to sleep when realization hits. 7 years ago. Istanbul. The bombing. Abasi's supposed death. But what if he wasn't the target? What if someone else was supposed to die that day? She pulls up old files from her Interpol days. The Istanbul investigation, reports, surveillance. The car bomb was meant for someone. But who? She and Abasi were walking together toward the vehicle. If the bomb was meant for one of them, It could have been either. She digs deeper, finds a detail she missed before. The car that exploded wasn't their assigned vehicle. It was a replacement, swapped at the last minute due to mechanical issues. Someone arranged that swap. Someone who knew their schedule. Someone inside Interpol. The thought chills her. If someone inside the organization wanted one of them dead and failed, would they simply give up? Or would they wait? Watch. Let 7 years pass until the target felt safe, then strike. Nadira stands, begins packing weapons, documents, cash. If someone's coming, she won't wait for them to arrive. She'll move, disappear. But first, she needs to warn her team. She reaches for her phone when it buzzes again. Another message. Same encryption. Same unknown sender. Nairobi Museum, South Entrance. Dawn. Come alone or everyone you love dies. Nadira stares at the message. It's a trap, obviously. But whoever sent it knows where she is. Knows her team. Knows enough to be dangerous. If she doesn't go, they'll target Jabari, Kofi, Rion, everyone who trusted her. She has 3 hours until dawn. She spends them preparing, body armor under her clothes, multiple weapons, trackers in her shoes. She sends encrypted messages to her team, telling them to go dark immediately. Then she contacts Rion. He's in Seoul, safe. For now. Someone's targeting me, she tells him. It's connected to Istanbul, to something that happened before Abbasi's supposed death. I'm walking into a trap at dawn. If I don't contact you by 8 a.m., assume I'm compromised. Scatter the team. Shut down all operations. Nadira, don't go. We can figure this out together. There's no time. They'll target all of you if I don't show. Then let them come for me. I'm not letting you walk into this alone. You don't have a choice. She ends the call before he can argue further. Dawn comes grey and cold. Nairobi Museum is closed, the grounds empty. Nadira approaches the south entrance, every sense alert. She's been in hundreds of dangerous situations, but this feels different, personal. As if everything she's been through has led to this moment. The south entrance is unlocked. She enters, finds herself in a storage area. Artifacts in crates, closed rooms, dim lighting, and at the far end, a figure sitting in a chair, face in shadow. The Serengeti Ghost, the figure says. Female voice. Kenyan accent. You've been busy. 3 years of disrupting networks, recovering artifacts, playing hero. Who are you? The figure stands, steps into the light. A woman, perhaps 50. Features that seem vaguely familiar, though Nadira can't place them. You don't remember me. Why would you? I was just a junior analyst at Interpol. No one important, but I remember you. I remember your brother, and I remember how you destroyed my career. Nadira's mind races through memories. Interpol. 7 years ago, junior analysts, there were dozens. But this woman's face triggers something. A case, an investigation that went wrong. Someone was fired, disgraced. You were the leak, the one selling information to the smugglers we were investigating. I was trying to feed my family. You and your brother exposed me, ruined me. I lost everything. You were compromising investigations, getting people killed. I was surviving. The woman's voice cracks with old rage. And you two, with your principles and your mission, you destroyed me without a second thought. So yes, I arranged that car bomb. It was supposed to kill you both. When it only took Abbasi, I thought that was enough. But then I heard he survived. And I realized I needed to finish what I started. Abbasi survived, but you waited 7 years. Why? Because I needed you both vulnerable first. I needed to take away your network, your resources, your confidence, and then, when you thought you were winning, I'd take everything else. Nadira hears footsteps behind her. She turns to find armed figures emerging from the storage rooms. 5 of them. Professional, mercenary grade. She's trapped, outgunned, and exactly where her enemy wanted her. But Nadira didn't survive 3 years operating in shadows by being unprepared. She taps a button hidden in her sleeve, a signal, not to her team who she ordered to scatter, but to someone else, someone who wouldn't listen, who never listens when she gives orders meant to protect him. Rion, he's supposed to be in Seoul, but Nadira knows him well enough by now. He wouldn't stay away. He'd follow. He'd position himself as backup. He's predictable that way. Stupidly, beautifully predictable. The woman approaches, pulling a weapon from her coat. Any last words, Ghost? Yes. You should have checked if I came alone. The museum's skylight explodes. Glass rains down. Through the opening, figures rappel. Not Rion. He's not trained for tactical insertion, but Jabari is, and Kofi, and 4 others who ignored her orders to scatter because they're loyal to a fault. The mercenaries react, but Nadira's team is faster. Smoke grenades detonate. Flashbangs disorient. In the chaos, Nadira moves, disarms the nearest mercenary, uses his weapon to provide cover fire. The woman who tried to kill her is fleeing toward an exit. Nadira pursues. They end up in the museum's main hall, surrounded by displays of African history. Masks, sculptures, artifacts return to their home. The woman backs away, weapon raised but hand shaking. You should have died 7 years ago. But I didn't, and neither did my brother. You failed, twice. Then I'll make sure I succeed this time. She fires. Nadira dodges. The bullet shatters a display case. Ancient pottery fragments explode. Nadira returns fire, aiming low. Non-lethal. Even now, even against someone who tried to kill her, she won't cross that line. The woman drops, wounded in the leg. Nadira approaches, kicks the weapon away. It's over. For me. But there are others. People you've angered. Networks you've disrupted. They'll come for you eventually. Let them come. I'm not hiding anymore. Sirens wail outside. Real police this time. Nadira's team has vanished, as trained, but she stays. Waits. When the authorities enter, she surrenders peacefully. She'll face questions, legal complications, but she has evidence, documentation of the bombing, proof of this woman's crimes, and Catherine Ashford's resources to navigate the legal maze. 3 days later, Nadira is released. No charges. The evidence was overwhelming. The woman, whose name was Susan Odiambo, is awaiting trial. Justice, imperfect but real, moving forward. Rion is waiting outside the police station. He looks exhausted. You told me to stay in Seoul. I did. I didn't listen. I noticed. Are you angry? Nadira considers this. She should be. He disobeyed a direct order, put himself at risk. But looking at him now, at the concern in his eyes and the stubborn set of his jaw, she can't find anger, only gratitude. No, I'm not angry. They walk through Nairobi streets. No destination in mind. Just walking, processing. After several blocks, Rion speaks. What happens now? Now we keep working, keep recovering, keep returning what was stolen. Even knowing there will always be threats, always be people angry at what we do. Especially knowing that. Because if we stop, because it's dangerous, we're letting fear win. And I didn't spend 3 years building this to surrender now. Rion smiles. The lion remembered. The lion never forgot. She just needed to remember that being a lion means accepting risk, accepting challenge, and accepting that sometimes you don't hunt alone. They reach a cafe, sit outside, order coffee, and begin planning the next operation, because that's what they do, what they'll keep doing, recovering stolen heritage, returning it home, making imperfect justice in an imperfect world. The Serengeti Ghost is still hunting, but now the Ghost has allies, a network, purpose tempered by experience, and maybe, just maybe, something beyond purpose. Connection, trust, the kind of partnership built through shared danger and shared belief that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost. Above them, the Nairobi sky opens. Rain falls, warm African rain that smells of earth and growth. Nadira tilts her face upward, lets the water wash over her. Beside her, Rion does the same. Two people who found each other in darkness and somehow created light. The story doesn't end here. It never really ends. There are always more artifacts to recover, more networks to dismantle, more heritage to return home. But for this moment, in the rain, drinking coffee outside a Nairobi cafe, there is peace. The Serengeti Ghost rests, but only for a moment. Tomorrow the hunt continues. If this story pulled you in, don't just scroll away. There are more missions, more twists, and more worlds waiting. Hit the subscribe but 5558 so you never miss the next drop. Share this with someone who loves powerful storytelling. Your support keeps the journey alive.